Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, and welcome to this new video on XRP. Covered this yesterday when I made a video. XRP is finally pumping. Wanted to make a new video today because it actually has continued to be relatively strong. We got a very bullish daily candle close here. As you can see, we already broke this weird trend line that we had earlier on on Tuesday last week, and we actually got a bullish retest out of that. But now what you can see, and I think that's quite interesting, is that on the 3-day time frame, this almost looks like a bullish breakout we have, and then a successful retest. So on the higher time frames, looks quite interesting. On the lower time frames, and that's what I wanted to focus on in this video, I think it looks quite good as well. Now, I do want to tell you that I bought around 60 cents with the premium group I have, and just in general, that's what I traded. So I might be a little bit biased, and I do think that there are risks, and I want to tell you about that as well. But what you see over the course of this weekend is just in general a lot of momentum coming in, and it seems like sustained bullish momentum. Which is very, very different from the last time this happened, which was last weekend, when we also had that initial spike, that initial very strong move, which we had yesterday morning as well. But back then it just turned into a sell-off. And what you see right now is that we had a brief sell-off actually overnight right here, but then it was continued with more strong impulse moves. And now you can also just see, I mean, this is the 1 hour time frame, right? So you should take this with a grain of salt. But there is some sort of a resistance level here on the 4 hour time frame at the very least, which we have managed to break above, as you can see right here. So as long as this level, which I do think is also respected on the lower time frames, as long as this level holds, I am bullish on XRP. And I also think, but I also already talked about that yesterday as well, I think fundamentally there's also a case for XRP to be bullish, even when the market is not that bullish, even though Bitcoin is very bullish, of course. But altcoins are suffering slightly, I would say, with the appeal date coming up, right? So that's next week, Sunday. I would say it's either going to be next week, Friday, or next week, Monday, because I don't think the SEC does anything in the weekend. Very different from us. We just work in the weekend, of course. So that's coming up relatively soon as well. And obviously we are going to see some sort of a pump if there's no appeal, because then the whole case with the SEC and Ripple is over. And I think overall that will be considered as something bullish. So this is one of two things. And we still kind of have to see which one of those it is. And that is that it's either a fake weekend move, trying to drag in retail, and that we will still see some sort of a sell-off tomorrow. That is a possibility, even though I do think the technical situation is quite good here. I actually have to draw this a little bit different, but it's okay for now. Or this is actually big traders and whales positioning themselves for a no appeal scenario. And for now, I am choosing to believe it's the latter, right? We see continued momentum coming in, big positions opened, right? Millions and millions of dollars. And technically it's holding up even when Bitcoin is not holding up. So I think this is fundamentally different from what happened last weekend. This even reminds me slightly of what happened back in July, when we also pumped throughout the weekend. Much more momentum back then, but still. So for now, I'm going to be bullish on XRP. I think the momentum and the technical structure already or are already pointing towards a move at least into 64 and 65 cents, and who knows what can happen afterwards, right? If you zoom out, if we're able to get that break above 65 cents, sky's the limit. So for now, I'm still very bullish on XRP. If you want to trade this, 60 cents was the ideal entry, right? So that was a beautiful bullish breakout. If you want to trade this, be cautious, all right? Because if for some reason we start to see some sort of a sell-off and the XRP drops down below 61.5 cents, I will just close at a profit, because then all of a sudden it becomes more likely it's going to be a sell-off. So that is still a possibility, but given the fundamentals and what we've seen from the technicals so far, I would say it's more likely that this is going to continue to be bullish. So those are my thoughts. Yesterday, someone in the comments, by the way, said, "Oh, it's pumping. It's only up 0.002." That is true, right? It's not up a lot. But if you compare this price action with what we've seen for the last 2 weeks, this is parabolically bullish, right? So it's all relative. I mean, right now from the bottoms, we're up 7.7%, which is actually quite a lot for such a big asset. such as Ripple. But those are my thoughts. That's what I think you need to know. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. For now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.